on Fresh Fridays. Yay! I'm here today taking the show. Zanetta is actually away. She has some very important commitments to attend to. She won't say too much. I'll let her share the story when she comes next week. But basically, she had an offer she couldn't refuse. And we'll leave it at that. So here we go. Hello, Zanetta. Oh, you're on. Hello, Bella. How are you? It's good to see you pop in. Yes, good evening to all those. Wendy, hello, Wendy. How are you? Good to see you. And so today we have a great topic, a fantastic topic, may I say. But I'm not going to be on my own. Aha, thought I was going to be on my own today. No, no, no. Thank you, Wendy. Loving my hair. Oh, I know. Yesterday I wore it really curly, and we had a bit of a poll whether people like my hair curly or straight. My hair is naturally curly, and I often say that it's like my messy look. And Zanetta loves my curls. I know. So far, the votes are curlies in for me. So there you go. You probably see more of me in my curls. But today we have an awesome guest who you've probably met before if you tuned in last week. I know I've broken the surprise, but we have the wonderful Dr. James Carpenter. Well, it's actually no, the surname is let me get this right. Oh boy. Let me get the title. James is an author. James Carpenter Barnes, that's right. And he is from Chicago. He's an author, a transformational speaker, and he writes both supernatural fiction, thrillers, and self-development, personal development, to lift the potential of human beings. He's an amazing man. I have connected with James a few times since last week, and he is going to be on our show talking about how we show up every day. So, without any further ado, I'm going to bring on James Carpenter Barnes. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here, Stefania. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. I'm great. I forgot your surname, but I didn't. It was Carpenter. I thought Carpenter was a surname, but then it was Barnes on the end. So
It's James H. Carpenter Barnes,
that's right. H is for.
Harold.
That's right. Yes. Nice long name there. So do you actually sign your name completely like that?
It's usually James H. C.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I took
Awesome.
Carpenter when I wrote my first book.
Mhm.
I said that I would take on my father's birth name. My father was Willie Arthur Carpenter, but his parents were killed in a race riot in the 20s in St. Joseph's, Missouri, here in the US. And both his mom and his dad were killed. So he was adopted by Dr. Barnes, who was a physician in Laurel, Mississippi.
Oh.
Laurel, Mississippi was in Jones County, which was the only county in Mississippi that did not have slavery.
Uh-huh.
And it was the most popular county in Mississippi for African Americans at that time. And probably maybe still to this day. But I said when I wrote my first book that I would take on his name. And so when I did, I added Carpenter to my name because that really is my father's birth name. So that's how I wound up with this long name.
Wonderful. Oh wow, what a story. And that's actually an honor for you, I guess, to be
It
actually
is. It is.
doing that for your father. So we are going to be talking about how we show up every day, right? And I know this is something that I guess a lot of us, struggle with. Maybe some people don't, but showing up doesn't just mean showing up physically. It means showing up in many ways, like mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And I guess this kind of ties in a little bit with what we spoke about last week with purpose and passion, I think, because, when you have that purpose and that passion, well, then you have some direction as to how you're showing up and why you're showing up the way you do,
Yes.
right? Would you
Yeah. You
agree with
can't
that?
you can't you can't exercise a gifting if you're not there. Even if you're physically there, but you're not there here. Your
Mm,
mind is at the restaurant because you're hungry, or your mind is at a concert that you went to last night. You're not focused.
yeah.
So I have a formula as far as showing up, and that is the more when you show up, you're demonstrating consistency. And the thing that consistency gives birth to is um, trustworthiness, because people trust your ability, because not only are you consistent, but they see the increase or the growth. And with that, there's this wonderful thing that happens, Stefania.
Mhm.
It's called promotion.
Mm,
People wonder, why am I passed over for promotion? Why do they look over me? Well, ask yourself, how are you showing up? And are you showing up? And
mm.
that's I love this topic. Um, how you show up. Are you sincere, or are you just going through the motions?
Exactly. Exactly. And I think this is really a great topic in all aspects, whether it be, work, our careers, how we're showing up in our relationships, whether it be our intimate relationships, how we're showing up with our families, how we're showing up with our children, how we're showing up in the world.
Yes,
So it's just a real, it's a package deal. You are showing up, period,
it
in
is. And you said
every
children.
moment of your life,
Oh,
right?
you said children. I grew up, my father was very unreliable. He loved us, but he was unreliable. He was always chasing the dream, going after, and because of that, he overlooked and neglected the things that were right before him.
Mm,
It's okay to have a present, forward thinking reality, but
mm,
you can't neglect that which has been placed in your hands as a responsibility. Um, right now, to this day, you can call my son or my daughter, and my daughter's 47. My son will be 43 this year. You can call them and ask them, has your dad ever not kept his word?
mm,
Has he ever promised you something that he did not deliver? And they will tell you, my father has never, ever promised me something that he didn't deliver. He's never made a promise to me that he didn't keep. If he didn't keep it, it was because it was delayed and it was kept at a later time. And so I carry that into my life, where if I have a client, when I was doing mortgages or anything, a customer with anything I'm doing, I strive to be on time. I strive to be present. I strive to make them feel they are more important than I am. They are more important than the sale or the commission or the profit that's being made, that they are the star of the show.
mm,
And people used to say, Stefania, people do business with um, people they like. But that's not true. People do business with people they think like them.
mm,
And so when you show up and you're present and you're walking with a heart of love and sincerity, and most of all, the heart of a servant, that
mm,
I'm here to serve you, people will open their hearts and their wallets and their homes
mm,
to you, because you've demonstrated that magic word of sincerity.
mm, mm.
And all of that comes from showing up
Yes,
sincerely, consistently, and developing that trust.
exactly. And Zanetta says here, "Oh my God, you cannot exercise your gifting if you're not there." Absolutely. If you've got a gift, you cannot definitely exercise it if you're not present, you're not being there. And consistency, she says, consistency births trust. Yes,
Yes.
that that consistency allows people to know you, trust you, and like you. And they're three fundamentals. I think that,
Yeah.
like you said earlier, people are going to either open up to you or buy into if you're selling a service or be there for you.
Hmm.
And
Yes, absolutely.
lots of heart. And just the last thing that Zanetta says, how do you get to the point of consistency when no one shows up for you?
That is where last week's topic comes in. Passion enables you to show up when no one ever shows up for you.
Mhm.
If no, that's not why you're showing up, because someone else showed up for you.
Mm.
That's like that's like God, I'm going to be good to people because people are good to me. No, you're going to be good to people because you were instructed to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now, granted, some people need to be loved from a distance. Some people need to be loved from a train ride away. Some people an airplane ride away, but you still love them, you
Yeah.
know? And the reason people value consistency is this: they themselves know the sacrifices you had to make to be consistent because they've done it,
Mm.
because they've experienced what it takes to be consistent. They respect it in you because they've done it. A person who is inconsistent, always late, they show up unprepared, they don't care. They don't care if you don't, if you know they don't care.
Mm.
They don't, they walk on your consistency, but you're not doing it for them. You're doing it for you. You're doing a work as unto him, who you can't see. You're doing a work unto him. I don't like referring to the creator as him, because he's more than a him or her. He is the creator, you know? And
Mm.
so when we do things, it's for him. That's the mindset to have, to show up because it's pleasing to him, it's glorifying to him. And that should be your exclusive reason right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, because he's our source. He's just providing, and really, like you said earlier, we're here to serve. And if we're all
Yes,
serving each other, this is the thing, I think. If we all really understood the word serve and that we're all serving each other, it's a domino effect. So it'd be a much happier world, wouldn't it? If we were really intentional with our serving, without, the expectations and without motives, just to purely love and, and serve from the heart. And
absolutely. I've like I shared last time that I study Jewish history and Jewish traditions, and one of the reasons that the Jewish community thrives the way it does is because of the stress that's placed on being a servant. They're taught from from childhood on up to adulthood, your purpose, your existence, the reason you're in the earth, the reason the sperm and the ovum got together to form the zygote that became you 9 months later, was for you to come into the earth to serve the others in the earth who came into the earth just like you, who are also here to serve you. That's the reason that, as I was saying, that the the people with certain skills in that community, they hire those people. They don't try to do it themselves. They don't try to get up and fix their own roof. They don't try to do their own plumbing. They find a plumber that they have a relationship with, and that plumber comes and does their plumbing. They pay him,
mm,
and then conversely, maybe the plumber, the guy whose plumbing he fixed, he's a dentist, He needs a tooth filled. So he goes to him to get his teeth filled. He may go to another person in the community to the grocery store. That's why their dollar circulates in the community like 17 times before it leaves. And it's not just about money. It's about the giving and the seeds that you're sowing by showing up and being your gifting. That's the most important thing. When you said that the topic would be how you show up, showing up, being who the creator made you to be, not just doing something, but literally being is deeper, it's more powerful, it's more profound, and it's more life-changing than many of us realize.
Which I think just answers Zanetta's next question, where she says, what do you say to those so that don't believe in him or her or the creator, referring to showing up with passion? And like, I think, what you said there, being. Not
Well, I have found this in the last, let's see, this is 2022, since around 2008, maybe 2006, there has been a tremendous move among scientists who were atheists who have become theists in their science, acknowledging that there is a superior being. So people who say, well, I don't believe in that, well, that's what you believing in. You not believing is meaning you have a belief that there is no superior being. That's your belief. So you're believing in something.
Yes.
So you're acknowledging the ability to believe in something, even if you're saying, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in a creator. I don't believe in Jesus. Okay. You're believing that you don't believe. It's impossible for human beings not to believe. It's impossible because it's put in us. It's in our spirits. There's 3 compartments to the human spirit. I'm going to make a rabbit trail if that's okay. There's 3 compartments in the human spirit. There's intuition, there's worship, and there's conscience. The conscience tells you what's right and what's wrong. Intuition tells you things you couldn't possibly know on your own. You had an inkling not to go down that street. Nobody told you, you just didn't go, and you found out there was an accident down there. And the third one is worship. There is an innate desire in man to worship something. And like Zanetta is saying, your non-belief is belief. You cannot not believe in something. It's against you. You have to just go ahead and die.
Not exist anymore, right?
You have to go ahead and die. Just go ahead, cease, and then you're really gonna believe then. You're gonna believe then once you leave this life. All right. So I don't argue with people who say they don't believe. You know what I do? I live my life before them. I live the life. I demonstrate love, respect, honor. I serve. Even I'm an environmental specialist along with many other things. And a lot of the technicians fight over who's going to work with James. Because when I work with them, I serve them. I even have my subordinates. I have them rate me. I want you to rate me. How did I treat you? What am I lacking? Where am I missing? People don't know what to do with that. When a supervisor says, I want you to rate me, and I make it plain, we're a team. You're not working for me. We're working together. That's what I call showing up and being what you say you are.
And this is something that I really want to touch on, like being and saying what you say that you are, or title yourself of. Or I think sometimes too, where we say we're going to do something for someone, because that's showing up as well, and we don't show up, or people don't show up for us. And I've experienced that. Just before we go on, I had Darren here. Just acknowledge Darren. He says, "Hey, legends, great for you to pop in, Darren. Darren's all the way from Queensland in Australia. And
It's Jasmine. Jasmine's from JD3 TV. She is a brilliant young woman. She's brilliant. She is. I don't know if I ever told her that, but I'm telling you now, you're brilliant.
And who else? Who do we have here? We also have Rosaria, and she's all the way from Italy. She says ciao bella, Stephanie.
Ciao bella.
And bello for James. But just going back to keeping our word or showing up, I think that is something that I can really see has been a bit of a decline. And I often say to people, when we can't show up, because sometimes we can't, right? But there are times that things happen that we can't show up for whatever reason. But that's no excuse not to, I guess, address it.
Yeah.
A lot of us find it hard to address the fact that we haven't been able to show up or keep our word, and just pretend to shrivel up and disappear in thin
Yeah.
air. And it doesn't work like that. And I say this particularly when it comes to, the dating scene, or, men and women in particular, where they, in a relationship, if you can't show up, let that person know. Let that person know, I know that I said I was going to do this. I know that I was going to whatever. However, let them know that something's come up, or you are going to make it up to them some way. I think so. People know that they're not just being ghosted or dumped, or just
Yeah.
like you feel like you've just been put in the
Yeah.
trash. For
Yeah.
me, I've had
Let
that
me-
happen quite a
Yeah.
lot, and it's
Oh my gosh.
not a good feeling.
I experienced that when I was a freshman in college. There was a young lady in my French class, I believe it was, and she was gorgeous. I mean, she was wow, and she was going skiing, and she was, I'm just out of high school, and so we were going to meet, and she didn't show up, and so I began to learn even more the importance in a relationship. Relationships have different phases, as you well know, Stefania.
Mhm.
And that initial stage when you meet with and you connect with a person, that's kind of like the honeymoon phase, where everybody is on their best behavior. You don't break wind, you don't burp, you don't have crumbs all over your mouth, your hair is always combed.
Yeah.
You didn't leave home without deodorant. You always make sure you got your wallet so you don't get out to dinner and say, "Oh, I left my wallet. Can you get dinner tonight, baby?" You don't have those. All right. So you're on your best behavior. So if you start out in that relationship not keeping your word, what can I expect when things start to decline and you've gotten used to me, and and Lord help if we slept together already, and now a lady would think, okay, now he got what he wants. Now he's gonna start to clown. It's like the commercial when the guy he's got a French accent. Yes, my love. I will treat you. I will spoil you. I will give you the desires of your heart. I will do all for you. I will rule the world for you. I will give you gold and diamonds and rubies just for you and lay them at your feet, my love. Then after about 6 months, he say, "Hey, why in there? Give me a beer."
Or he's out of there.
Oh, he's out of there. See, so what I pay attention to things that people do. I pay attention when I extend a kindness to you and you return it with a selfish act, with a selfish word, with a self-serving disposition. I make a mental note not to lay my pearls before that swine again.
Mm-hmm.
Still love them from a distance. Like I said, a train ride or a plane ride away. You love them, but you don't have to subject yourself to that if they're not going to respect and honor you the way you respect and honor yourself. I don't care how beautiful they are, how handsome he is,
Mm.
how much money they have. None of that stuff matters when you're in a toxic relationship and you feel unappreciated.
Yes, absolutely. I just want to acknowledge Matthew Nicholson. He sends us a heart. He's all the way from Melbourne, Australia. Welcome, Matthew. Good to have you on. And Zanetta says, thanks to you for the comments, Zanetta. She's obviously not that busy right at the moment, so it's good. Or even showing up with only 20% of you. Yes, yes. Showing up somehow, right? Just whatever it takes, a phone call, a text message, an acknowledgement. I think that 20%, just acknowledging brings it right up to
Now,
nearly 100%.
you know what? I just thought of a really good one,
Mhm.
Stefania.
Yes.
You ready for this one?
Tell me.
This is a good one. You go out on a date
Uh-huh.
or you're at an outing and you're with someone and they're talking to you and you're looking at somebody else.
Oh, that's in my book. You should get my book. I talk about that
Oh my gosh.
over and over. And don't think because you've got the dark glasses, a woman can't see, or a
That's
man
right.
in some cases,
Because
because women
because
do as
she
well.
listen, during that initial phase, she's deciding, am I gonna give this dude the kick to the curb?
Yes.
And as he should be, because women now are just as aggressive as men, and they will do the same thing.
Mhm.
And Matthew says, by the way, myself and my partner still don't fart in front of each other. All right.
Wonderful. And how many years have you been together now, Matthew? Let us know. I know it's been a while. That's something, isn't it? That's
Yeah, that's true. So that when you said that 20%, that oh my gosh, um, that 20%, man, that not you might as well not even show up. And
mm,
it's the same. And what's funny, 17 years. Wow. Awesome. For Matthew, 17 years, Stefania.
fantastic.
It's
Congratulations.
do you know the things that we do in our personal lives carry over into our work, into our
Oh,
businesses?
yeah. It's a domino
It
effect. It just
it
like
is. It's a habit. Remember, we were talking last time. We were
mm,
saying how passion becomes a habit, and exercising your gifting becomes a habit, and becomes a part of it. It's almost like breathing. Well, conversely, the opposite is true. If you got negative ways and traits, and you do them for so long, you're not just doing. You have become an inconsiderate, self serving individual.
mhm.
And you're
Yeah.
sowing seeds in your life that will come back to you manifold times over in your life. And you wonder, why don't I have a good relationship? Why am I not getting any respect? It's because of what you demonstrated and put out there into other people's lives. And you expect people to bow down and sing, he's a jolly good fellow or she's a jolly good lady. You
Mhm.
know, it don't work that way. What you
Absolutely.
put out is going to come back. My mother used to say, you cannot plant cotton and grow corn. It's not going to happen.
I like that. That's another American term. Can't plant cotton and grow corn. I like it.
That's right.
Zanetta says, drop the mic. Yes, absolutely, for what you've just said. And just going back to Zanetta, she says she's relaxing and chilling. Where is she? By the
And
pool.
poolside. Ooh.
Poolside relaxing. Wow. Thank you. I'm glad that you're joining in while you're chilling out by the pool. What's she saying? The sun, is it burning there? Is it burning you? Don't get too hot out there. That burns me, she says. You're with me and looking at someone else? Yeah, you're done. Goodbye. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. But you know what? There's some people that don't see that as a warning sign. They see it, but they ignore it. And that's when the trouble starts.
You know what they say? You know what they say? You know what they say, Stefan? And men and women say this. They say, "Oh, I can fix them."
Uh-huh.
How you going to change somebody that's, if they've been doing something for 30, 40 years, 50 years? And I tell people this all the time. I said, what makes you think if they've been like this for, let's say if they're 51, but if it's a guy, he turned an adult at 21, supposedly. So that's 30 years of being this person. Then what makes you think you, not being God, are able to change this person? You can't change anybody.
No.
You can't change. A person can decide that they're going to change. And they have to do it not for you, for themselves, to be a better person. Because if they're doing it for you and you do something to upset them, guess what? The game's over. Because now, see, you did this. Now I have to pay you back. Wendy and I have three rules. Three rules: no lying, no inequity, and no retaliation. Those are three rules we have. We probably got some others, but those are the three main ones. No lying, no retaliation, no inequity. In other words, I can't go out and buy something for myself, and she goes out and buys something that she wants, and then I have a fit. Do you know how much that costs? Well, we have a rule. Well, that's different because I'm the man. Or I'm the woman you're supposed to buy for me. No, it's not like that. No, we found that if both of us expend the energy, and this is still talking about showing up, how you show up in your mate's life, how you show up in front of other people. I'm telling you, that is how you will reap the magnificence of life. Can I share a story?
Absolutely. Just before we do, let's just show what Wendy says here about the date. The date would be immediately over if someone was looking at someone else while with me. I'm not made.
I'm not mad at all.
I'm mad at all. Bye.
It's just a sign of that you're interested in me and this. But I wanted to point out how showing up is not just a short-term thing. All right. And in this, I believe this story will help many of those that are listening. In 1982, I shared this with you already, Stefani. In 1982, I was playing in a band here in Chicago, and we were in a recording studio. We had the band leader from this band group called the Emotions, who were touring with Earth, Wind, and Fire. We had the Commodore's horn section there with us. Not to mention we had some really top flight musicians in our band already. So we're recording at Paul Serrano Studios, where Earth, Wind, and Fire recorded Sun Goddess with Ramsey Lewis. Well, I got born again during that time. And my born again experience was so traumatic. I gave away all my equipment. I gave away that guitar I was telling you about. I just left everything at our rehearsal studio. And my brother was the bass player, and he was, oh man, you have to. I said, I have to. I can't live this life anymore. Because I was doing drugs, selling drugs, running the street, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, getting in the Lord number. With number God, I'm still here. Okay. So long story short, I gave up music and I began to play at my local church. And at that time, nobody played guitar like me in church. And after that, you started seeing more and more guitar players being featured on albums and churches and so forth, because this was 1982. Well, fast forward to now, I gave away all my equipment. God gave me back what I needed to play at the church. But right now, I have 9 guitars downstairs. I have 2 basses. I have some of the best, most cutting edge amplifiers downstairs right now. I have the best of everything that I could have ever wanted as a musician. And now I'm about to launch a music channel on JD3 TV, and it's going to be called Live but Unpredictable.
Mm,
And
love it.
and so what I'm saying is I showed up in being what the creator had called me to be. I showed up. I wasn't perfect. I fell down, bumped my head, made more mistakes, than a dog got fleas. I had a passel of failures and mistakes I've made.
Mhm.
But one thing I never did, I never stopped loving him, and I never stopped serving his creation. And I believe because I kept showing up, he showed up for me in so many ways. He showed up and blessed me with Wendy. That's my daughter, Margaret. That's my daughter. So true.
What is she
That's,
saying? So true.
she said, so true. You can't change anyone. We're not musicians. No, no Houdini work here. So my point is that those of you that are here, that if it seems like you're working, you're laboring, you're being all that you know to be, but it looks like you're not seeing the rewards. Keep being, not just doing, but literally become the things that you desire. And as you become those things will be drawn to you. A magnet is not drawn. An iron magnet will not be drawn to brass. An iron magnet is not drawn to gold or platinum or aluminum. It's drawn to iron. To become prosperous, you must have that mindset. And as you have that mindset, don't worry about how much money you got. You have a prosperous mindset and you show up daily. When you go to your job, you may not have a lot of clothes, but have those clothes on point. You may not have a lot of shoes, but make sure your heels aren't running over. Make sure the shoes are shined or buffed or polished. Make sure your stockings don't have runs in them. Be sure you don't go to work with toothpaste down the side of your mouth, like you forgot to wash your face this morning. Show up as if you own the company.
Yeah.
And as you do that, you're becoming prosperity and elegance and opulence and class, and people will respect you that way. You know what people call me at work?
What do they call your work?
They call me Mr. Barnes. Good morning, Mr. Barnes. How are you? Good morning, Mr. Barnes. How are you? Now, the only people call me James are the bosses, but everybody else is Mr. Barnes. Now, they don't call each other that. That's because who I have been since I've been there. And it's something that we can all walk in, which is as you give respect and honor, you will receive respect and honor.
By the right people, may I say?
Yes.
Because sometimes you may not receive it from some, but that's okay because they'll dwindle off anyway. So just let's remember that. I think because sometimes we can get hooked up on the fact that not everybody is going to give us the respect, and it's okay, right? We can still love them from afar.
Yeah. And we can respect them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you that I like everybody that I run into. There's some people there was one particular person, I tried to like this person. I just didn't like her. And I didn't know why until she demonstrated who she was when she tried to lay a mistake she made on her subordinate who was on probation and demanded that he be written up.
Wow.
She didn't know the company had already told me that she did it. She didn't know it. So my point is that when you feel something and you're walking in this thing, you're walking in this is who you are. You will pick up something, pick up that vibe. You won't know what it is, but you know it's something. That's that God part of you. That's that intuition, that intuitive ability that's telling you, watch that person. They look like a rabbit, but it's a snake inside that rabbit. So don't pick him up and pet him. Ooh, pretty rabbit.
Because you might just get a surprise, right?
You be walking around talking about tricks off for kids, and you got bit,
Wendy says there is a difference between liking someone and respecting them.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm,
Absolutely.
definitely. So James, Mr. James, how would you so what are the main components, like what we've talked about spirituality, we've talked about, I guess, mentally, how we mentally show up. How about emotionally? We haven't touched on emotions because sometimes we can show up with our emotions. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Sometimes we have to also be able to release them at the right
Mhm.
times and not in certain places, I guess, because you don't want to put more fuel in the fire. So,
Well, I have a word that sums up the key to the emotional showing up, and that word is um, being vulnerable,
mm,
being willing to be vulnerable, being willing to appear not to be um, Superman or Superwoman, to be able to have empathy, as you know, empathy. You're an empath. Have empathy, sympathy, understanding, um, and this is something I excel in, which is why um, there's not a person that I work with that I have not had a conversation with that has faced difficulties, or they're in a situation at work where I say, look, this is what we're going to do. I sympathize or empathize with them, and we work together to resolve that. You come down from your position or who you think you are. You are one human being offering love and support to another human being. There's nothing better you can do in this life. And I'm going to tell you an ancient practice that comes from the East, but I believe it's a principle of the Creator, and that is the best way to experience blessing in your life is to pick someone you don't know, you have no relationship with, and pray for that person and cry for that person. If you're going through a difficult time, you can even name someone. I pray for whoever is facing the same thing, and literally pour your soul out for that person.
mm,
That is a passion. That is a state of being that transcends humanity and moves into a place of intercession, because the scripture says that Jesus ever liveth, making intercession for the saints. So he's constantly pouring his heart out for us on our behalf. So when we do the same thing, are we not on the same plane? Are we not seated in heavenly places? Are we not demonstrating our connection, showing the height and the breadth and the width of God's love, and most of all, the depth of God's love, which means the profundity and the deepness of that love? When you do that, you are able to show up emotionally for a person, somebody that's lost a loved one. People won't open up to you, especially guys are not going to tell you, yeah, my wife beat me this morning. They're not going to tell you that. But
absolutely.
if you see something going, hey man, what's going on? How you doing? Everything okay? If I know somebody's wife is ill, I'll ask, how's your wife doing? Oh yeah, she's fine. She's fine. She's doing good, man. Thanks for asking, man. Thank you. But then I'm gonna come out here, my wife's so sick. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I gotta change these kids' diapers. I don't know how to feed them. I don't know what I'm gonna do. They're not gonna do that. They may say, yeah, things are a little rough. Say, you know what, man, I'm gonna be praying for you. Oh, thank you. Because a lot of times men, it can be difficult. I don't want to put an umbrella on all men because we're all different.
Mm,
But when you move into that place intentionally move into a place of compassion and fervent love for your fellow human being. It's not about being mushy, it's about demonstration. Love is an action word. Love is a decision word. It's not about cards, flowers, and presents.
Mm.
It's about I lost my job and nobody knows it, but I know it. I go buy groceries, put them on your porch, ring your bell, and take off. I've done that. I've taken money to people who didn't like me, who talked about me. I took money to them because I knew they needed it. I didn't give it as unto them. I gave it as unto the Lord. And when we do that, that's why my life is so blessed.
Mm.
That's why my life is so magnificent. That's how I met you, Stefania. That's how I met Zanetta,
Yeah.
because of the giving, because you guys have that kind of heart. You give,
Mm.
right? And like attracts like. I
Yeah.
couldn't draw you into my life. You couldn't draw me into your world without the love that you have.
Yeah, I was actually going to touch on that actually. I think that's a very important point. And I know I'm going to have you on my show, okay? So just get ready. We're going to be talking full on relationships, okay? But
Okay.
I know, showing up and we're talking a little bit about relationships here. But yeah, you attract what you reflect. So you can't give what you don't have. So
Nope.
therefore, you're not going to get back what you don't have or don't give. So, having said that, we really have to, sit with ourselves. And I really liked what you said earlier, you know, just loving. If we don't even have anything physical or material to give someone else, we're not in a position to even help someone else.
Hmm.
Um, but even just, it may be your love towards that person, your prayer towards that person, your forgiveness towards that person, because
Oh,
a lot of
yes.
the times I feel, I won't lie, I've experienced my own where forgiveness has been very difficult, I won't lie. But when I really started working on that, not only self-forgiveness, because, they say forgiving yourself is harder than forgiving others. I don't
Hmm.
know. I don't know.
It depends.
It
It
depends, right? It
depends.
depends. But
Yeah.
when I found it really difficult to um, forgive someone else, I really intentionally, and you had the key word there, where you intentionally do it, and you do it with love, you do it with compassion, you do it with like surrender. Boy, is that really showing up?
Hey,
Is
hey,
that showing up?
hey, Stefania, have
Yeah.
you ever experienced fake love?
Oh yeah.
Oh boy, is it disgusting or
Yeah,
what?
yeah. But isn't it funny? Like as you mature and get wiser, I won't say get older, but you get wiser. You see that coming, and it's just like you laugh it off. Whereas
Yeah.
in your early years, when you haven't experienced that, you fall for it, and then you learn that it was fake. But it is quite interesting. But I just want to ask you, why did you bring that up? Like, what were you about to say about
Well,
fake
I,
love?
I thought about the opposite. There's always a flip side to everything.
Mhm.
Okay. And so the flip side of showing up is not showing up, not keeping your word, not honoring your word.
Mhm.
And we were talking about the importance of being emotionally available. There are others who are fake.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you, another word for fake love is lust.
Yeah.
People equate lust with sexuality. That is the lowest form of lust.
Mm. Or can I just add, they get confused. They get very confused. Honestly, there are some people that don't know the difference, and whether they've not experienced it, not been shown, or they've not really elevated themselves to know the difference or feel the difference, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Lust is primarily self serving. It could be about getting something they want from a person, place, or thing.
Yes.
So lust is love that is it's selfishness that has put on the garment with love written in it. You know, you ever see those imitation Louis Vuitton
Yeah.
or Ralph Lauren? You can tell it's not real because of the material. You can tell how it feels, how it fits you. You know, all you have to do is pay attention. And so when and our topic is how we show up, we have to be watchful for that selfishness because it creeps in unawares because there's a part of us that is just above sexuality. There is appetites and then there is survival. And so people put on faces and wear garments and embrace the language that
Mm,
they feel is to not compliment you but flatter you. Flattery is a component of fake love. A compliment is based in admiration, which is very different.
mhm.
Like what I said earlier when we were talking about how you speak well of a person, a person can tell, they can feel,
Yeah.
they feel it on a visceral level, the
Mhm.
genuineness or the sincerity, you know, and then they can also feel when you're fake, it's in your eyes. It will, it just, you can smell it. You
Yeah.
can smell it. You
Mm.
can smell it. You don't know how you can smell it, but you can smell it.
It's an energy that vibrates like
It,
any it's an energy. You're
it
vibrating
is.
at that
It
level.
is.
It's a
It is.
lower energy level, and, Zenita says, "Okay, we'll have to do another show on fake love." Yes, on my show, on my show.
You know, and not to get too spiritual, but evil vibrates on a lower plane and a slower vibration.
Mm,
Angels vibrate on a very high plane with very rapid vibrations.
mm,
Hence the difference in the power. The higher the vibration, the stronger the vibration, the more powerful that supernatural being is. And so the negativity, I don't like saying the word devil because the word devil means accuser or diabolos means to come against continually. Satan means adversary. And it's not just a single being. There is a spiritual force that's behind all of this that is in the airwaves. There's so much selfishness, so much self-serving, but at the same time, there, there are people who have embraced the creator and they're demonstrating his love, his character, his love, his joy, his peace, his gentleness, his goodness, his meekness, his temperance, his long suffering, his faithfulness. They're demonstrating it one by one. And that one by one is forming a collective in the earth to negate that negativity. That's why we can walk into our jobs and take control of the atmosphere. I took control of the atmosphere where I work.
yeah, because if you really think about it, um, when you're running on a high vibration, I always kind of say it's like you're light. So
Yes,
if you're in a
excellent.
if you're in a low vibration, I relate that to darkness. It's a dark
Yes.
room. So if you're vibrating at a high frequency of love and enlightenment, it's like turning on that switch in a room. You're turning on the light. That darkness
Mm-hmm.
got to go. It's got to go. It can't hang out. You can never
Oh,
turn on a light and still have darkness in a
you
room, right?
can't.
You can.
And you can never have enough darkness to put out the light.
No, that is
Darkness can come in a room all it wants. That light is there.
exactly.
You know, and that's the light that we have in us when we elect and intentionally walk in that. It's not about how often you go to church, what church you go to, what religion you are, is what do you believe? What is your state of being, not doing?
Mm,
And for those that missed our previous show on doing and being, the difference between doing and being is this. When we use the example of it's stone cold winter out in Chicago, Illinois, 25 below zero wind chills, the snow is blowing, and you don't see a bus in sight because you're on the bus stop because your car stopped running. And you see a bus sitting at the corner running. You go get in that bus and you start driving. You turn on the heat and you start driving. You just driving the bus. You're driving the bus. You see somebody, you stop. Come on in. We got heat. Get on in the bus. Come on. We're going for a ride. You're just driving that bus. What are you doing? You are driving the bus, but you're not being a bus driver because you're not trained. You're not authorized. You don't have permission to drive that bus by that city or that village. You just took it and just went. So you're doing something because it was convenient. Whereas the person who is the bus driver, who is being a bus driver, is looking for his bus because you just stole it. See?
Exactly.
So when you're doing something because it's either convenient or you saw somebody else doing it. But when you become something, you're doing it because that is who you are. That is what's inside of you. And as a result of who you are, there is a doing that takes place, but it's driven by that passion and by your gifting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So it really ties in with how are you showing up? Are you doing or you
Are
being?
you being? That's right.
I love it. I love it. So last week when you talked about that, I didn't have really a topic for this week, but it kind of like just nicely tied in together, which has been great. Been great.
That's your intuition working, Stefania.
My intuition, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, this is something too, we have to show up with every day,
Yes.
tapping into, um, our higher selves. Well, tapping in with our Almighty, our Creator, our divinity, God, whatever you want to call it, first to get that recharge, it's like, plugging in your phone. You've got to recharge it every day.
Yes, definitely.
Recharge it every day. So it's a must to not just survive. We need to thrive. We need to
Yes.
thrive. And when we're recharging in that energy, in that love, we're filling our own cup. So then we can serve better. Because sometimes we have all the intention to serve and have all the intention of showing up. But if we're not filling up and recharging ourselves, it's going to be a challenge to show up the way we intentionally want to. Because I think sometimes we can get caught up there, right? We're doing everything right. We're committing ourselves. But we are not filling ourselves up with that love, with God's love, with divinity. And I must say, there was a period there that's what was happening to me. So I really give experience to that and testimony that we really have to make that time to fill our souls, our beings. So spiritually,
You can feel it when someone is in a situation of dealing with something. When you have taken the time to refill yourself spiritually or to recharge, you can feel it because compassion comes, and compassion is very interesting. Compassion gives you the ability to work miracles for other people. There are several people that I work with that I envision them being promoted. And I told them, you're going to get this position. I told you this before. And I envision it before I go to sleep. Just as my mind is shutting down, I feed my subconscious the images that I desire in my life. The things that, no matter how small or how big it may be, it could be for another person. It could be for myself. It could be for my wife. Once my wife was having a problem with her wrist, where she couldn't hardly pick up anything, I envisioned going and performing surgery on her wrist. She woke up the next morning. She said, wow, my wrist didn't hurt anymore. I said, I know. Now, don't work every time because next time I tried it didn't work. But it worked the first time, So my point is that we're able, when our hearts are in that place, because remember, we're creators. We're made in his image, after his likeness. In his image means our spirits look like his spirit, after his likeness, his manner of being and doing are also in us. It's in us to create. It's in us to be compassionate. I experienced compassion in the face of a demonic situation once, and I witnessed. I felt it come on me, and this young woman was just being tormented, and these people were hollering and praying for her, and so I stepped back, and all of a sudden it felt like a garment came down on me, and I put my hand on that girl's head, and I looked at my hands, Stefania. It was like somebody took coal and just rubbed it all in her head, like she had been sleeping in a cold bed or something. I put my hands on her head, and I commanded that thing to let her go. Just like that, I said, let her go. And boom, that girl was changed instantly. And that's when I was introduced to the power of compassion. It's not about how great you are. It's not about how famous you are, how much money you have. It's where is your heart? What is your heart's desire for your fellow man? I live to serve humanity. As you know, I'm on JD3 TV. I'm there to serve the other host on that channel. And that's what I do. I help them to build their visions and to launch them in something that I believe God has ordained to change the atmosphere in this world.
Mm. Amen. That's
That was a
fantastic.
mouthful, huh?
That's fantastic. Wow. Well, this has been a great conversation, James. I think
I've
we've
enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think we've really covered quite a lot, and we've had quite a few people pop in. So I just want to acknowledge you all and say thank you for your comments. Thank you for, yeah, all the little chats and everything. But showing up, just to round, like summarize it. What would you say to people? What would be your little tip, for people that are really struggling? Because you said something really important earlier. And you said, I go to sleep, or there is a time in your day where you visualize, you
Mhm.
vision something for someone else or for yourself or whatever it is. I just want to point out that we're doing that all the time. Okay. Whether we're doing it, positively or negatively, we are programming our subconscious mind.
Yes, we are.
And this is where I really want to bring to light that if we can do, if we intentionally change our self-talk, change the narrative in our mind, change all that, can't do it, no one loves me, I'm never going to get a job, my career sucks, I don't have enough money, or whatever, all that self-talk's going on. And we just flip it and we start, I say, playing with that in a way like a child plays, because it's a child plays like with their imagination, right?
Yes.
I mean, I know as a child, I used to love playing cashiers. Actually, that used to be my big play thing. My dad had built this like cash register made out of wood and put all these compartments where I could put Monopoly money in there and pretend I was, serving whoever was going past in front of our house
Hmm.
if they wanted to buy something, serving, pretend juice or whatever. But what I'm saying is we can play with the idea, we can imagine. No one is stopping us. There's no wrong in envisioning and imagining all the things that we desire,
You know,
not want, but
yes.
desire.
There you
Because
go.
when we're
There you go.
wanting, it's still in that realm of lack and scarcity and not having enough. So remember
Perfect.
that word,
Perfect.
desire. Have that burning
Yes.
desire in your heart, have that passion, that purpose. And when you wrap all that up together, yeah, you got magic. Beautiful.
I would sum it up like this. When we realize that when the scriptures tell us that in the beginning God formed the heavens and the earth, and the earth was without form and void, and the darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the faces of the waters. That word moved means brooded, considered, gave thought. I believe that that was the first instance of imagination in our world, was the Creator being over the waters and brooding, considering, giving thought. I believe God saw all of this, everything, the beauty, the magnificence of this planet, the magnificence of the people, and at the same time, the horror and the terrible things that humanity would do to each other. I believe he saw all of that. And he still made us because he knew that even though these things would take place, in the end, it would be a loving, worshipful, heaven on earth experience. All right. So when we realize that, we can make a decision in our lives. We can't worry about what everybody else is doing.
No.
I don't worry about who doesn't like me or who despises me because I'm African American, or because I'm not Hispanic, or because I'm from Chicago, or because I like certain things. You dislike me. That's not my problem. That's your problem.
Yeah.
I want to spend my energy on the love and the joy and the virtuous, magnificent things. There's so many wonderful things in this world that God has made available to us if we dare to envision it, to imagine it, to see it, not looking at what everybody else has. Just because they've got 2 cars across the street, you may not need 2 cars. You may not need a house that big, or you may need a big house because you got 8 kids.
Yeah.
Everybody's situation is different. See your world as you would have it. See your world as you would have it, and bring others into the beauty of that world. Now, I don't mean just at your house, just with your family. Your world is your sphere of influence. And the more enlarged you become spiritually with the things of God, the more expansive you become with your sphere of influence because of what's inside you. And then when you do that, you will show up every time with intention, being who you were created to be.
Amen.
And I'm James H. Carpenter Barnes, and I approve this message.
Thank you so much, James. That's just, wow, beautiful, enlightening, and it's really filled our hearts. And I just love the way you finish that with, just repeat that last phrase about enlightening and,
You're enlarging yourself with the qualities of God and expanding your sphere of influence, where you're able to reach more and more people by duplicating what's in you. And if all of us do that, what a magnificent world this would be. There was a song, "What a Beautiful World It Would Be."
Yeah.
It's like Jasmine said at the very beginning of the show. I don't know if she's still here, but she said, "What a wonderful place this would be."
Yeah.
If we all just embraced what we know, what we desire for our kids, and created that and shared it with others, it would be just magnificent.
Yes, yes. I love it. I love it. This has been a great show, and I really want to acknowledge you again, James, for your time, for your wisdom, your knowledge, and it's been great. And can't wait to have you back on the show. And I'm going to have you on Let's Talk Relationship too soon. So we have to talk about that and set a date. So everybody, stay tuned for more relationship talk with James. So thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Zanetta. Thank you, and all the people that tuned in. I won't go through all the names because I don't think I'll remember. But Wendy, I know you're out there watching. I appreciate you as well. And have you on, I want to have you on my show too, because I did say that earlier when we first met, but time has flown. Thank you, Zanetta. Enjoy the poolside, won't you? We're not jealous. We are blessing you and blessing you, and hope we can join you sometime. So, thank you, James.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you
Yes,
for the invitation.
yes. And to everybody, as always, we send you lots of love and passion, and we will catch you next week. Be sure to leave a comment, say replay, hashtag replay if you're watching on the replay or live. And of course, if there's any topic, anything you would like us to talk about, please let us know. And of course, we'll have Zanetta back on next week as well. Until then, bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.